Are you ready for the heavyweight championship of the world? Are you ready?
Hey, welcome to andinthiscorner, bringing you another episode of Unanimous Decision. And today, who we talking to, Bill?
Hey, you heard what he said, Unanimous Decision. That's our exclusive interview series. And today we got a good one. He is a member of a Grammy award-winning group who brought you the songs So Much in Love, I Can Love You Like That, and that monster smash, I Swear. Today we have none other than Delious Kennedy of the group All-4-One.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble!
All right, here we go, man. We got one of our guests on. We got Delious Kennedy from the group All-4-One. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing great, man. Thank you for having me on.
Thank you for coming. On behalf of myself, Barry, and our channel, And in This Corner, we want to say thank you so much. Thank you for the music that you blessed us with, you and your group. The timeless music, 90s era, that's our favorite era of music. You guys were a part of that, and you are continuing to flourish afterwards. So again, from the beginning, we're gonna go ahead and give you guys your flowers now. And again, we just want to say thank you.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
So,
No
Delious,
problem.
you ready to step into the ring?
Let's do it.
Let's throw some blows.
All right, here we go. Delious, you grew up in California, right?
Not really. I'm a military kid.
Military.
Yeah, so I kind
Yeah.
of grew up everywhere. Every 2 years we moved to a different place, but I did have a couple of years in California.
Okay, so what were your musical influence? Well, since you were military, you moved around. What are some of your musical influences?
My musical influences are actually very wide. So I Luther Vandross is like my sensei, the guy that I look at, what's called it. But Luther, Michael, Patty, and Olivia Newton-John. A lot of people are like, I don't understand that one. But I was in Canada, living in Canada at the time. We didn't get a lot of Black music in Canada.
Yeah.
And I got turned on to Olivia, and I've always loved the sound of her voice and her tone. Her tone is it's one of the things I credit. My voice is a mixture of like hers and Luther's, and then a little bit of Peebo.
Yeah.
With the power of Peebo. Yeah.
Yes. So I hear the influences definitely when you say, well, two things. Number one, I do hear the Peebo Bryson, and I hear Luther when I hear your voice on the tracks. But also, you guys would do a great job, All-4-One, with sampling. So, and it showed your eclectic taste in music, being able to dig through crates. So I want to ask, how did you actually link up? Because you were a military kid. How did you actually link up with Jamie, Alfred, and Tony?
Well, I had moved after college from University of Maryland. I moved out to California because that was always my goal. My parents were like, you got to get an education before you do anything. And so as soon as I got the diploma, I handed it to them. And when a month or two later, I'm like, and I'm out, which is kind of crazy because I have a nephew now who's like 22, 23. And I wish he would say he's moving across the country. I'm looking at him like, you are still a kid. So I know my mom must have been like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
And I just packed up. I saved like $900. I lied and told my parents I had $2,000. And I got to LA, and rent was $625. I had $300, no job, no nothing. And that stuff, was going back quickly.
Yeah.
And then after a year of being out there and struggling and people lying to you, and, I was like ready to come back home when a friend of mine from high school was like, you know what? There's a karaoke contest out in the Antelope Valley. And I'm like, I don't have gas to drive an hour to the Antelope Valley to do it. She's like, the prize is $977. So I was like, I could really use that money. Yeah. So I got my old beat up Mazda 626 that shook when you stopped at the stoplight, and I drove out there, and I did the karaoke contest at the fairgrounds. And the first night I tied with Jamie and Tony. I was singing At This Moment, and they were singing Ebony and Ivory, the black guy and the white guy, Ebony and Ivory. And we tied to come back for the finals, and then we both lost. And I was like, dang it. And then Jamie, I think Jamie was like 18 at the time. He looked like 16 because he was short at that point.
Yes.
And he was like, yeah, we have a record deal. And I was like, everybody in LA got a record deal.
Yeah.
And ain't nobody got a record deal, And he's like, well, hey, I give him my number. If you ever come down to the LA area, we'll hang out. And if I come back up here, I'll call you, we'll hang out. And then I sent that tape to Arsenio that I got because the consolation prize was a VHS of your performance, even though you didn't win at the karaoke contest. I FedExed that to Arsenio because they had just announced his Flavor of the Future contest. And I sent that in and I got on that show. And then I won the show. And then I got this phone call from this producer on my voicemail. And he just left this thing about pretty much offered me a record deal on the voicemail. And I was like, they must think I'm stupid. Like, you don't just come home and someone's offering you a record deal on your voicemail. So I called it back to see which one of my friends was playing a joke. I'm just playing along. And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, oh, really? And I'm being an ass to this guy on the phone. Yeah, because that's about right. Oh, is that what they're doing now?
Skeptical.
And yeah, then he was like, well, it doesn't sound like you're interested in the in the deal. And I'm like, he said, but the guys, Tony and Alfred, that you met at the fairgrounds said to give you a call. And I was like, oh, whoa.
Yeah.
I was like, yo, you might want to start with that. I thought this was like a cold scam call sort of thing.
Yeah.
So then, no, now I'm interested. And then I know it's real because at that point it was an independent label called Blitz Records.
Yep.
And I was like, okay, I'll come down. And I sang for the president of the label. And then a month and a half later, So Much in Love was hitting on the charts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So after the phone call and everything was worked out, you guys got together. 3 months later, if I'm not mistaken, you guys had a song charting. Was this your I can't believe I made it moment? Or I'm here moment?
That's a good question. Not yet. That didn't come till later. I was excited to see that stuff was rolling. And when the first time I heard it on the radio, I was like, wow. I was like, man, I can't believe, there's a song that's on the radio. And I was like, we hadn't done the video yet. No one had seen us or anything. Only thing they've heard the song.
Yeah.
And then I think the moment that the I can't believe we made it moment, I don't even know when that moment, maybe it was the Grammys. The Grammys, when we sang on the Grammys with John Michael. I was like, and looking out into the audience and seeing like in the front row, like Whitney looking at you on and Luke, I'm like, what is happening to me?
Those are your peers now.
Yeah, I was like, just look at the back of the room, look at no one until this song is over.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that was the moment. But I've always, one of my biggest, I've said many times, one of my biggest regrets back in the day was I never lived in the moment.
Yeah.
Because I was always waiting for it to end. I was like, this is too good to be true. I've seen this behind the music story. Nope, not gonna do it. Nope.
So that's the same energy you had on the phone call with the producer. So you just
right.
I think one would argue that skepticism, it kind of allowed you to make the right choices, I guess, because you weren't believing everything. So it's once again a double-edged sword. But you mentioned performing at the Grammys being a kind of a aha moment. Most people don't get a Grammy in their entire career. And I think All-4-One grabs a Grammy out the gate with I Swear. So after that initial success, what were your thoughts going forward? Like, it's like, because like I said, like one of my favorite R&B groups of all time, New Edition, they didn't get recognized with the Grammy. So you guys have that out the gate initial success. What's your expectations after the Grammy?
Expectations, I don't know. It was such a whirlwind from the beginning of our career, when So Much in Love took off, and then I Swear right after. It was like we've never really had a chance to. Every day was go. So you don't really have a chance to sit in your thing because 365 days of the year, maybe like 340, we were gone somewhere.
Yeah,
and always move on the move. So you don't really have a chance to think. I remember when we won the Grammy, I remember thinking, man, from now on, when they introduce us, they have to say Grammy Award winning. I really like that part. And then a friend of ours, who's like another mother, our second mother to our family, was like, and she's an older lady. I looked it up when you guys won the Grammy. Do you know who doesn't have a Grammy? And she started naming people that I'm like, Madonna didn't have a Grammy. Salt and Pepper, I think they just got there, right? She started naming all these people. I'm like, they don't have Grammys? Yeah. And it's like, you have a Grammy. I was like, wow. Man, I couldn't believe it.
I'm familiar with the list and I'm not in the industry. I just know that's not one of those things to scoff at. Typically the people who say Grammys, because at the end of the day, you're against the jury of your peers. You guys are considered the next thing. And I think individuals who have Grammys say it's not that big of a deal. But I think everybody on the outside in, they wish they had a Grammy. So I understand the duality with that.
Yeah.
Of course, yeah. But we got to do a lot of great things after that because it put us in another level, I would say.
Yeah.
There's, I don't want to use the word famous. There's maybe credibility is a better word. It give you credibility. So we started doing things that help build our profile. So whereas I always struggle with how to say this because I don't want to be like I'm putting anybody down for their career. Trying to think of we started singing with Celine Dion's. Yeah. We were on shows with like Luther and Michael, and we got asked to do Bill Clinton's inauguration, his personal Arkansas ball, not the overall thing, but his personal one. You know, it's like things like that is like, wow, they look at us as that level of, you know, entertainers.
So you kind of were in a sweet spot. I guess I'm thinking about maybe like a like you said, Grammy Award winning. If I think about sports, NBA champion or former MVP, you know, Russell Westbrook, you know what I mean? Like it gives you, like you said, gives you that credibility, but it puts you in a class where not a lot of people are.
Yeah.
So
absolutely. Yeah.
Got you. So you guys came out smoking out the gate. I remember the first video, So Much in Love. Got more. I always thought about doo-wop, kind of, you know, sitting on the porch or side steps, doo-wop, you know, a lot of harmony with your group. And then I Swear drops.
Yeah. It's a wrap.
I Swear drops. You guys tearing up the charts. Tearing up the charts.
We had no idea, man.
Okay. That's where I'm going. Where was your mind at?
We had no idea. That was the absolute last song that was added to the record. It was never supposed to be on our debut record. And we'd finished our record and we'd done the mastering and the artwork had been done and all that stuff. And we went into the office of the president of Warner at the time, Doug Morris. And we just thought he wanted a critique on a song. He's like, I want to play you something. Tell me what you think. And we're like, you know, we're newbies. This big wig is asking us to critique something musically. It's like, this is cool. So he played us the country version of I Swear. Yeah. We're like, yeah, it's good. We love the lyrics and da-da-da. And he was like, I want you guys to record it. We're like, but it's country. Why would we record? We're an R&B group. Why would we record a country song? He's like, we're going to put you back into the studio with David Foster. And he's going to do with it what he did with I Will Always Love You. I was like, oh,
okay, well, okay.
I understand that dynamic of country versus, you know, I'm like, if you really think he can do the same thing with I Will Always Love You that he did with I Will Always Love You to this song, no one's going to complain. And I was already a big fan of David Foster anyway, because he was on all the records that I looked at. I was the type of kid that looked at the credits back in the day on the, and his name was everywhere on every Earth, Wind & Fire record. My girl Olivia's record, he did half her stuff. Shaka Khan's Feel the Fire. I'm like, oh, I know who this cat is. I've been seeing him since I was young. And so we went back into the studio and we recorded it. And it's the most popular song on our debut record, which was R&B at the time. And we're over in London and promoting So Much in Love. And they yelled us, they're like, we need to get you guys back to the States as soon as possible. We sent out the cassette of I Swear as a promo to radio stations just so they can, you know, give us feedback. And radio stations started putting it on the air from the cassette. They're like, we've never heard of that before, from the cassette.
Wow.
And they're like,
wow.
And you talk about it's only like you said, David could have done he did what he did with I Will Always Love You, but there was a bigger gap between those records, between Whitney's version and Dolly's. Yours it's a year gap. So like
not even, I think 6 months or something like that.
It wasn't that long.
So when you first heard the song, was it released already?
Yeah,
the country
it was released. It was doing well on the country charts, but it was too country and twang to cross over to the pop charts. So they were trying to find an artist to do it. And it was actually a fun fact. It was given to Gerald Levert and he turned it down.
Wow.
I read that.
I was like, thank you.
Imagine
Gerald.
that.
He said the biggest mistake he made.
But you know what's good? The good thing about that, some mistakes are great. You know, sometimes a turn down, because we typically ask this question, what are some songs that you guys maybe received that we don't want it, or a song that you received that somebody else turned down, and there you go.
Yeah,
And look what happened with that song. So
absolutely.
So you mentioned producers,
crazy.
And David, I used to read the back of cassettes and before CDs. I just used to read the back cases, lyrics and producers and everybody involved. There were super producers in the 90s though, and I feel like you guys are on Atlantic. Prior to Atlantic isn't what it is. It wasn't what it is today, right? So then when you look at, I think your ability to do a lot with not necessarily household name producers. So I'm looking at the second album. It's kind of the same thing. Even though I appreciate a David, I appreciate a Steve Diamond. It would have been interesting to see what would have happened if you guys were able to get into the studio with some of the baby faces of the time, the Darryls
White
of the world.
Jimmy Jam,
Jimmy Jam, Terry Lewis.
Teddy.
What was that ever an ask from you guys, or was it pushback from Atlantic? Or
it wasn't Atlantic. We were on a
you were on an
dual
independent label.
Yeah. So the Blitz Records. Trying to figure out how to say this. Not that I really care what they think, but they were very controlling. It was kind of like a one-man operation. Older white guy. Jamie writes a lot of songs, and I was like, he would always take them and what we call sabotage them and destroy them. It was like, this is not, our demos were better than the ones that end up on the record. So we were just like, it was always the outside producers who got the singles because actually their production was better. Jamie actually hates production on especially second record and some of the third record. It wasn't until we took over ourselves with A-for-One and everything after that was when you start to see the real, All-for-One and what we were capable of doing. But it was like before that, he called himself a producer, but he wasn't a producer. He liked the credibility of saying that, I've got this Grammy award record and I'm producing records. I'm like, please let somebody else do it. We were like begging, like, please get somebody else, but he would never relinquish that sort of a control.
It would have been interesting. Like I always,
there were some crappy records on some of those. There was some, it's like crappy. It's like, I can't believe this is going out after we have a Grammy. It was like, really?
After the Grammy.
Yeah.
After the Grammy.
See, and that's why I asked, because typically after the Grammy, it gives you some leeway to, you guys ask and they provide. But I feel like it was still an uphill battle.
They came to us. I know Babyface had wanted to do a song for us, and we were excited. And then we found out that he said no. I was like, what? Why'd you say no? We were supposed to go on tour with Janet Jackson for whatever the tour the NSYNC did. Yeah. She called and asked for us to open. And we're like, let's do it. But then he's like, you know what? I decided it's better that we don't. I'm like, what? I don't understand. What are these decisions you're making? Can you imagine?
And we talked about this prior to the interview. I mentioned you guys came up in an era where social media wasn't a thing. So it was hard to promote yourselves. But even in that case, there were still like barriers of entry or gatekeepers. If you guys had the tools that you have, like we have now with social media, do you even think you would get a chance to shine the way you wanted, or would gatekeepers still kind of block you?
I think gatekeepers would have blocked us in a certain way because obviously they have all the control. It's their group technically. But us knowing more about some of the opportunities that were coming our way, we maybe could have pushed more. I mean, we were young, so we didn't know what kind of pushback we could really give either until we did. And so like, I'm not doing that. I hate that song. This is stupid, you know? But being the young kids at the beginning and being gone for, like I said, the 95% of the year, just constantly keeping us on the road and asking us to sign contracts before we go on to the stage. It's like, we don't have to, can we read this later? It's got to make facts back at this moment. It's like, not knowing all that stuff is like, we kind of grew up after the second album. We started, asking for things, but we got a chance to finally work with Jam and Lewis on I Turn to You, which is for the Space Jam soundtrack. I still would have loved to have a Babyface song. Everybody would have loved to have a Babyface song in the 90s.
90s,
It's like, come on.
So in my opinion, you guys had the perfect blend of R&B and pop, because you can get a song, I Swear, or I Can Love You Like That.
hmm
But for me, one of my favorite songs that you guys had was Down to the Last Drop.
Oh, yeah.
One of my favorite songs. I
Uh-huh.
don't know. I listen to it often, at least 2 or 3 times a week. It's something about that
Wow.
song that I just really like. I don't know what it is. It's
Oh,
probably
it's
one
a
of my
great song.
favorite, definitely top 5 songs that you guys have for me.
It's a great
And,
song. Whenever we pull it out every now and then for live, the audience is just like, oh, I was like, maybe we should be singing this more.
Yeah. If you asked me, I would say yes.
Yeah.
I really like it.
Mhm.
But I was as we were doing some research, I saw something where, and you can correct me if I am wrong. Jamie stated that you guys weren't black enough for R&B
Yeah.
and not white enough for pop.
Yeah.
Do you think you get enough credit for being one of the biggest groups of the era?
From the industry, no. From the fans, yes. The
Okay.
fans will definitely be like, legendary, all this. Industry wise, I don't think so at all.
Wow.
I know so. Just by the way, I can see them looking at it. It's funny. Every now and then we'll do a show with other acts, and they'll kind of want to put us, first or second. It's like,
Yeah.
why are we going first and second over this person who sold 500,000 copies of something and had only one song and Why are you putting us? And then we'll go and we'll just destroy it. And everybody goes crazy.
Yep.
And then the calmest thing is afterwards, it's like, man, we should have put y'all later on. It's like, we told you that. Like, how many times do we have to keep telling people? But industry wise, no, I don't think so.
And you guys also, and maybe because of the diversity of the group, Color Me Bad always, I kind of always, not saying that you guys were the same, but almost, they came out with a I Want to Sex You Up, but then they have another pop hit. So I kind of like in both groups. Did you guys have any influence with that group, or it's just?
No, they came out before us.
Yeah,
they came out before us. Good friends of ours.
Okay.
Yeah, no problems with them at all. I actually loved a lot of their stuff. We actually still tour with the members or the remaining members of Color Me Bad now. Yeah.
I'm going to see them tomorrow. They'll be in
where?
Orlando.
Oh,
they'll be in
Orlando.
Orlando.
Yep.
Yeah, them, Lisa,
the freestyle.
the
show.
Jets. Yeah,
The Jets. I love the Jets.
yeah.
Man.
Well, you mentioned not getting the respect you deserve. I agree. Like, I feel like, but when you look at your catalog, there's some evergreen content there, and I think every artist wants their music to be evergreen. All-4-One is that you guys have like what I like to call like sticky songs in your catalog, meaning they like Bill just said, for every fan, a different song is going to resonate with them. I think that, I don't know if it was strategic or not, but I think you guys have ended up on the right soundtracks, the right features on shows, to where you're constantly in the Rolodex of everyone's memory because, oh, boom, I just saw The Social Network. I just watched Space Jam. I just saw Nothing to Lose. Hunchback of Notre Dame. I used to have that cassette. Or Despicable Me. The Family Matters episode, the dance contest. So I feel like we can't escape your like fingerprints. So when it comes to that, like, you guys are already cemented with evergreen content and memories. What's the motivation now? Is it just to rest on, I guess, the morals, or is it just to kind of like, hey, we already got this content out here, let the audience kind of like rave with stuff like that? Or is there motivation to continue making music?
I think it's different depending on which one of us you ask. I'm personally like, I don't really want to record anything else anymore. The music industry has changed so much that I'm like, what's the purpose? Jamie's different. He's like, yeah, it's just to have content to keep putting stuff out. And I'm like, why? I'm fine with just touring. Let's just tour and what's called. But Jamie definitely wants to continue making music. So, and you don't even get paid for music these days. Like, it's like
that, but also I don't know if even if you get paid for it, it probably would be you guys releasing music you don't like. So I do think the idea of R&B has kind of changed.
Yeah.
It's not even.
To put out the music that you have an affinity for, it would be extremely difficult to check all the boxes where you're getting paid for it, you're getting recognized for it, and all of that. I totally understand the dilemma.
it would just have to be a song that I really love.
Mhm.
Like if he comes to me with something like, listen to this song, I was like, oh man, I feel every bit of that music, every bit of what it's saying. I was like, yeah, I'm in.
Jamie's listening right now, and he's like, "So you're saying there's a chance?"
Yeah.
You you had a very distinct voice. I can always pick you out. I always think about the bridge, and you to me, you had a powerful voice.
Mhm.
So when I think about other groups, a lot of groups, everybody combined together for the perfect gumbo mix, I guess we could call it like that.
Mhm.
Was that part strategic as far as the group, as far as because I can kind of hear Jamie doing some of the leads, but then you come in and you give us that, but then you got your other guys with the bass and so forth.
Yeah, I don't think that was strategic at first. Because on the first record, I was the new guy, and every group has, there was another member that didn't make it to the finals.
Yep.
So much ago, right? So I was that guy that came in afterwards. Those three were together, and when they were recording, by the time we got to getting close to the end, I hadn't really sung any leads at all. I'm like, do I get to sing? Or he's like, am I backgrounds? Because I didn't sign up for that, because everyone has an ego. I'm like, when you know what you can do, it's like I'm just behind. And Jamie was singing all the leads. And it wasn't until I spoke up that I got down to the last drop to sing on that one, or the song Without You that I wrote. Besides that, I think that was like the only two I did on the first record. I don't remember, so long ago. But then I Swear, which was the last addition on that, they sent Jamie over to David to do it. And then David Foster came back and said, I can't do this whole record with just that one voice. It needs more. And he's like, is there anybody else that can call? And then they sent me over there, and Dave was like, I don't understand. They're not using you. I was like, they're not using these
dreams. I can't say, but I'm like, when you were on the record, you shine. I think I just remember back in the 90s, that spot used to be reserved. Like if you had a deep voice and you were singing with that type of bass, I just was like, okay, they got to be talking on the track, like the bridge. Just go talk. Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, but I just remember that your segments being some of the most memorable parts of the song. But also just as a group, I think you guys fit.
Yeah.
But that was David's thing. So once I Swear came out, and the dynamic of the first and the second came in, then that's where it started from there on out.
Yeah. But definitely on I Can Love You Like That, because when you come in, you just like that. I'm telling you, like you hear it, you love it. And again, you guys are 90s. You are the epitome of a 90s group. You're able to cross over multi-genres. You come and give us the Hunchback of Notre Dame. You give us I Swear. Like you guys, for me, you had a career that a lot of people may have wanted, but again, from you looking on the inside, we weren't used how we should have been used, and we didn't get some of the producers that maybe you guys got that we weren't able to get. So we had to work extra hard to get to where we were.
Okay.
So, it was kind of like having a LeBron James who never had a Hall of Fame coach. But he still was able to.
He's able to
circumvent and So,
and
I mean.
To Bill's point, I think you guys spent some of your prime years under leadership. It sounds like, if I'm reading it right, you weren't really comfortable with the independent label that you guys were signed to, right? You distanced yourself from them. I think I want to say 99. I'm not sure. Like it was late 90s. Yeah,
about that time.
Yeah. So I mean, looking back, do you think because I'm looking at MCA, and I could think they didn't have a lot of experience with boy R&B groups, and then to do a joint venture with them from the gate, it probably was designed for failure. And for some reason, you guys, like a rose rising out of concrete, you guys made it. But I think you guys represent the minority, because there's a lot of other telltale stories of R&B groups that probably signed joint ventures with MCA that we don't know to this day. So there's a lot of success there. However, looking back, do you think there's anything that you guys could have changed and still enjoyed the same success?
That we could have changed and still enjoyed the same success.
Good.
I mean, yeah, I mean, I just think, like you said, being able and allowed to work with other producers during the height of it. I mean, once you've already had, you know, a couple of hits and a Grammy, I don't think working with other producers will lessen you or anything. You know, you can hopefully would only, you know, continue to build you up. But we were not allowed to do that, and the albums, and I think suffered, and I think that's what led to the rift between the independent label and Atlantic, because they didn't feel like they had what they needed to have a what's called. So they were like, yeah, we're not gonna, you know, work the third record. And we're, unbeknownst to us, we didn't know what was going on, you know, because we constantly moving and constantly working until getting a phone call from our manager / label, which is another thing.
Yeah.
Exactly. And saying that we don't need Atlantic anymore. I was like, well, what are you talking about? We don't need Atlantic anymore. And it's like, we'll be fine. It's like, what? We just released a record. We don't need a label.
I think it translates to we don't have Atlantic anymore.
Yeah. So then calling the Atlantic and not getting, you know, but up until that point, you can call Atlantic and talk to the president, no problem. Now talking to them and they're talking in circles, like, well, you have to talk to him. Well, I was like, whoa, the dynamic just changed. Like, what's going on? So it's most of the time when stuff like that happens, it's never the artist that's doing this. It's usually people who are in a controlling position that ruin it for the artist. It's their lives that you're working with, but they're the ones, you know. So that's what happened. Yeah,
that's crazy, insane.
I think the fans suffered too, because I could remember.
Yep,
I was programmed as a kid, like as in the record labels had to pay for promotion to get the record in front of me. Like I'm looking at ads in magazines and stuff like that. And I do remember at one point you guys were prominent, like just in my face, to where I couldn't escape the music, to where I guess after the rift started to widen with Atlantic and the independent label, it was, what was the name of it? It started with a B.
Blitz.
Yeah, Blitz. I felt like you guys kind of disappeared from me for a little bit. So
well, like I said, they were very controlling over everything.
Yeah.
So even then with the hit records, when you're saying like magazines and all this stuff, you never saw us in magazines because they wouldn't hire a publicist. I'm like, why do we have a publicist to, you know, say we're the #1 song for 3 or 4 months in a row?
Yeah.
And you hardly ever see us on any magazine.
I'm glad you said that, because it's like I would say All-4-One growing up, I always knew the music, but I could list groups that were smaller than you guys. And I knew about them personally, to where it felt like there was always a ploy to where these guys are very secretive. Like you have to do some extra digging to find out who's who, what's the names, their ages, where they're from.
Yeah, that's true.
So
and that's still an issue for us today, because a lot of people will know the songs and they'll assign it to somebody else. It's like, oh yeah, I know, I swear, by Boys to Men song, man. I'm like, no, that wasn't. Or She's Got Skills, when Prince put that out, right? Like, no, it's like every song we have that's a hit has been assigned to somebody else, because no one knew who. It's like,
that's a shame.
It really is.
That's really a shame, because again, they could have pulled so much from your group. I mean, the diversity aspect, the able to go in and out of R&B, you could go into the pop, you can go. You had a country song that blew up, blew up. You had Dianewarren on. You guys had but you don't, especially with the Space Jam. Like the movie is huge, and I mean,
you could see the choices too, because even with I Got Skills, it's on the first album, but Nothing to Lose is in '97. They choose to put. I like I Got Skills, but I would have probably chose a more recent record to like promote the group a little bit better. So some of those, like you could tell there was some poor decisions in the background that you guys weren't aware of.
She's Got Skills was on our first record. It was our third release from that record. And again with the labels and all that stuff. So our songs were big. So Much Love was top 5 or number 4, one of those. And then I Swear came number 1 for 11 weeks. They couldn't get, and then they couldn't get I Swear pulled off the radio so us to put another single. Like, we're already playing an All-4-One single. It's like, well, that's been 5 months now. This is the new single, and it's She's Got Skills. And so She's Got Skills was actually, it only went to, I think, number 50 or 49 on the Billboard charts or something like that. But in every market that it was played, it was top 5. But as you know, in order for a song to get to the top of the charts, everybody has to play it at the same time.
Yeah, yeah.
So in June, July, Dallas and the southern states were playing it. And then when they came off of the record, then then the northern states will play it over here. So it's like we couldn't get everybody to play at the same time to get the chops, but it was a top 5 song in every market it was played in.
Gotcha. So with you, Delious, you got All-4-One, you got the Catalina Film Festival. I know at one point you're working on your solo EP. Then also Flashback Tonight.
Oh yeah.
If I'm not mistaken. So you've been able to spread your wings throughout the entertainment business. How are you able to continue to reinvent yourself?
It's hard, especially now. I'm in Virginia Beach because I'm taking care of my dad who's got like advanced Alzheimer's. So I kind of left LA, which is where I was doing all that stuff at. So it's a little harder for me to like, I can't tape Flashback Tonight right now because it's a live studio audience. So it's kind of hard for me to do that. Catalina Film Festival, I'm the co-founder of, so I'm still working on that one, but hopefully I'll make it out there this year to the actual festival. I program all the films in the festival. But they just had the writer's strike and the SAG-AFTRA strike or the actor's strike. So we'll see what happens. No one's allowed. No one's allowed to do anything. Actors aren't allowed to attend film festivals. And I'm like, geez.
Yeah.
So yeah, I try to keep myself busy. It's been a little less these last 4 years since COVID and been moving back to Virginia. But once it's time, I'll hopefully be able to do something more that excites me.
Okay.
Yeah. So go ahead.
No, I was going to say, man, we wish you obviously, wish you the best. Please, your dad, we wish him all the health, great health and so forth. But we just, man, we like I said, we grew up on the music. The music is a part of my life, and they're for me, what makes a person an icon or great. What happens if you take the music away? And I don't think if you take away All-4-One's music, I do think there's a change in the aspect of music in somewhat shape or form.
Landscape of the 90s.
Thank you. Oh, thank you for saying that. Appreciate it.
Yep.
So when it comes to All-4-One, what's the any opportunities for fans to see you guys in sync? I know you have a lot going on personally, also professionally. Are there any upcoming opportunities for fans to catch you guys on stage together, whether it be touring or art? So
absolutely. We've never stopped touring. That's the one thing that through all the breaks and all that stuff of recording, we've always stayed on the road, whether it's here, overseas, or so. We've never stopped touring, and we've been touring independently and with I Love the 90s tour. I Love the 90s tour since 2015, which I can't believe is still going on.
People love the 90s.
I love the 90s. We love the 90s.
They do. Apparently, I'm thankful. Yeah. And so, I would say go to our website and you can find out where we're going to be at. But we're booked all the way till November already. So it's a good opportunity to see us. And we're going out with 98 degrees in the fall.
Cool. And fans, make sure you check out their website. And then also, how can they keep up with you guys on social media?
It's easy. It's all4, the number 4, that is, one music. ALL4ONE music. A lot of people over the years have spelled All-4-One, all FOR, FOUR. Like, it's not that hard, people.
It's hard for me, pause, but I do the same. I have the same problem. I'm like, it wasn't till before this interview. I'm like, and it refreshed my memory. I'm like, it was a number 4 on all these albums. And I'm just out here spelling FOR. Delious, thanks for joining us. You just lasted 12. Well, we just lasted 12 rounds with the champion. How you feel? I'm
good, brother. Appreciate it.
All right. Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, we want to know what's your favorite memory for All-4-One.
Absolutely.
Leave your 2 cents in the comment section below. Also, let us know who would you like to see on the show next. Bill, the people have spoken. This is one of the groups that we've actually been people have been begging for, and we made it happen. So hopefully we could do that, do the same thing.
Continue.
There are other requests, but y'all got to make requests. Go ahead and drop your 2 cents in the comment section. In addition, Bill, what's another way they could show support?
Hey, y'all know what to do. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so that whenever we drop new content, you're instantly notified. And hold on, Barry.
Go ahead.
Again, guys, I swear, so much in love. I can love you like that. That's all for one. It's not boys to men.
Yeah.
With the number 4.
Yeah.
With the number 4.
And then
With the number
also
4.
scream loud and keep making those promoters pay for it whenever they put these guys up front. They need to be closing
Yeah.
some of these shows out, or they need to be the middle of the pack. Like for
Yep.
to have
Yeah,
monster
exactly.
records like that, I don't know if that's how you set the tone, because it's unfair to the people that have to follow up behind them.
Yeah.
So we've truly appreciated you joining us today, Delious. Go ahead, guys, make sure you follow them on social media and keep up with everything All-4-One. That concludes another episode of Unanimous Decision. Thank you for tuning in, guys, to And in This Corner. Everybody say peace.
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 All right. Hey, Delious.